Welcome to our deep dive into open movements. We've got a really fascinating collection of articles and research here.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
It is. Think of it like this. We're exploring this network of initiatives, all connected by wanting to make information and knowledge and resources freely accessible.
And it really is amazing the variety of what we're looking at.
Yeah, maybe we should start by mapping out the territory.
Sure.
So we've got open source, open access, open data, open government.
It seems like every field has an open movement these days.
It does, doesn't it?
And I think that interconnectedness is key. They all have their own specific focus, obviously.
Right.
But a lot of them share similar goals and principles.
Like,
Well, transparency is a big one, like making government data public or ensuring that scientific research is freely accessible.
okay, so someone brand new to all of this, what would be the one big idea that ties all these movements together?
It's about democratizing access to knowledge, empowering individuals. Think about it. Open access to scientific data could accelerate medical breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Open educational resources could provide quality education to communities all over the world that might not have it otherwise.
That's a great point. It's not just about making things free, it's the potential for positive change.
Right.
It almost feels like a social movement in some ways.
And you're right to point that out.
Yeah.
A lot of these movements are deeply intertwined with social and political issues.
Okay.
Take the access to knowledge movement, A2K.
Right.
It's a really broad umbrella term
Yeah.
for all these different efforts to promote access to information, especially in areas like education and culture.
And from our research, it seems like A2K touches on things like copyright reform,
Uh-huh.
affordable internet access, and even the right to education itself.
Yeah,
It's almost overwhelming how much it covers.
it really is. But that breadth also speaks to its importance. It recognizes that access to knowledge isn't just about having information available. It's about making sure people actually have the tools and the ability to use that information effectively.
So not just throwing information at people, it's about creating an environment where they can engage with it and actually benefit.
Exactly. And that brings us to something really interesting. Free education.
Okay.
It's a really powerful example of how open principles can be applied in the real world.
Yeah.
Not every country does it, but some do.
Right.
Countries like Argentina and Bangladesh offer free education at all levels, including college and university.
Wow. That's a huge commitment to open access. And from what we've read, it's fascinating how different countries approach it. Like Denmark, they provide a monthly stipend to students on top of tuition-free education.
Yeah, that's incredible. It shows a real commitment to investing in their citizens, fostering a more equitable society.
Yeah. And speaking of different approaches, in Europe, countries like Denmark, Poland, and the Czech Republic offer free higher education to citizens from all EEA countries. So if you're from the European Economic Area, you can potentially study in these countries without paying tuition.
It's great. This is where that collaborative spirit of open movements really shines through.
Yeah.
It's not just individual nations doing their own thing. It's about working together to make knowledge a global resource.
It's like they're putting the open in open borders when it comes to education.
Yeah.
But enough about free tuition for now.
Okay.
Let's dive into open educational resources, OER.
Ah, yes, OER. The building blocks of open learning, lesson plans, quizzes, simulations, all of it. And they're just available for anyone to use, adapt, and share freely.
It seems like a pretty big deal. Education's constantly changing.
It is.
Textbooks are so expensive these days. Do
Yeah.
OER offer a real alternative?
Absolutely. They give educators flexible and affordable resources. And for learners, it means access to materials that are actually tailored to their specific needs and learning styles.
It's about breaking the one-size-fits-all mold.
Exactly.
And from what we've read, the impact goes way beyond saving money. It might actually improve the quality of education,
Yeah.
more interactive learning, more up-to-date information, more collaboration between teachers.
And again, we're not just speculating. Research shows students using OER perform as well, if not better, than those using traditional textbooks.
That's amazing.
It is.
Okay, speaking of textbooks, what about open textbooks? I know they're available online for free or very low cost because of those special licenses.
Yeah, that's right. It's a major development, especially when you consider how textbook prices have gone through the roof.
I know. In the U.S., they've increased over 80% in the last decade.
It's outrageous.
It is. Open textbooks sound like a real solution. But is it just about the cost? Or are there other benefits?
It's not just about affordability. It's about empowering both instructors and students. Instructors can customize the content to their specific classes,
Right.
making it way more relevant, and they can easily update the material, which is so important in fast-moving fields.
So open textbooks are more adaptable and up to date.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, this next topic might seem a little different,
Okay.
but stay with me. Open government. It's about making government information and processes more transparent, more accessible.
That's it.
Yeah.
Empowering citizens to participate in their government and holding their leaders accountable. It's really cool to see how different countries approach it. For example, the Philippines has this Freedom of Information Order.
Oh, wow.
It requires government agencies to be incredibly transparent on their websites.
Really? And what about India? I know they have the right to information law, which was started because of environmental movements.
That's a great example of how open government intersects with other social movements. It can be a powerful tool for promoting accountability and driving positive change.
It all sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Are there any downsides to open government? I've heard some concerns about security and privacy, if too much information is out there.
Right, and that's a valid concern. It highlights the need for balance.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that open government is implemented responsibly and ethically. It's a tough challenge, but the potential benefits are huge.
It sounds like finding that balance is key. Okay, let's move on to something that's become pretty essential in our world today, the right to internet access.
It's fascinating how quickly our perception of the internet has changed.
It really is.
It wasn't that long ago that it was considered a luxury.
Yeah,
Now it's being recognized as a fundamental human right,
right.
essential for freedom of expression, access to information.
You're right. It's amazing to think there have been UN resolutions condemning internet access disruption as a human rights violation.
Yeah.
It really shows how vital the internet has become to us.
It does, and it raises some really important questions. How do we ensure equitable access for everyone?
Right.
How do we protect net neutrality?
Right.
How do we prevent censorship? These are issues we really need to grapple with as we move toward a more open and connected world.
Absolutely. Okay, before we move on, we have to talk about the movement that really kicked off this whole open revolution.
Yes.
Open source. We're talking about free and open source software like Linux, Firefox, LibreOffice, just to name a few.
It's incredible. Open source software has so profoundly impacted the technology world.
It really has.
It fosters this amazing environment of innovation, collaboration, and just a culture of sharing that benefits so many people and organizations. And now those principles behind open source are being applied to a wide range of other fields.
Like open hardware.
Exactly.
From 3D printers to microcontrollers.
Yeah.
We're seeing this explosion of open hardware designs.
It's empowering people to create and innovate in ways that we just haven't seen before.
I know. It's so cool.
Open hardware is democratizing access to technology.
Yeah.
It's blurring the lines between consumers and producers. It's a really exciting time.
It all circles back to that core concept of openness.
Right.
Open access, open collaboration, open knowledge. It's about removing barriers, empowering individuals, fostering a more equitable and innovative world.
And what's truly remarkable is how interconnected all these open movements are. They share a common philosophy, and they really do reinforce each other.
Okay.
Open data can be used to develop open educational resources. Open hardware can be used to create tools for open science.
Wow.
It's a beautiful cycle.
It's like a massive web of all these interconnected initiatives, all pushing towards a more open and accessible future.
That's a great way to put it.
It's pretty inspiring.
It is. It really is. We're witnessing a paradigm shift here.
It feels like it.
It'll be fascinating to see how these open movements continue to evolve and shape our world in the coming years.
Well, this deep dive has definitely sparked my curiosity. I'm already eager to see what else we uncover as we explore this world of open movements.
Me too. And speaking of exciting discoveries, let's delve into the world of open science next.
Ooh, I'm all ears. Let's dive right in.
Open science. It's all about bringing scientific research and data out into the open, making it more accessible and transparent.
I've heard that term open science before, but I'm honestly not sure I fully grasp what it entails. What's the core idea here?
At its heart, open science is fueled by the belief that sharing scientific knowledge openly accelerates progress, leads to new discoveries. Imagine a world where researchers across the globe can freely access and build upon each other's work, regardless of location or resources.
That sounds amazing in theory, but how does that actually work in practice? What are some concrete examples of open science in action?
Well, one key aspect is open access to research publications. Traditionally, scientific journals have held copyright over these publications, often charging fees to access them.
Yeah.
This creates a barrier for researchers, especially those outside of well-funded institutions, limits the global exchange of scientific knowledge.
So open access is about breaking down those paywalls,
Yeah.
making scientific knowledge free to anyone.
Exactly. This allows researchers from all over the world to access the latest findings. Regardless of their budget or location, it's about leveling the playing field, fostering a more inclusive and collaborative research environment.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like taking knowledge that's often locked away and making it accessible to the whole world. But it sounds like open science goes beyond just publications.
Oh, absolutely. It also includes sharing research data, methodologies, and even the software tools used in the research process.
I've heard about these open data initiatives, where scientists make their raw data sets publicly available. Is that part of this movement too?
Yes. Sharing data openly allows other researchers to analyze it from different perspectives, potentially leading to new discoveries and collaborations. For example, a research team might generate a massive data set, but not have the resources to fully analyze it. By making that data open, another group with different expertise might be able to use it to answer entirely new research questions.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like a scientific treasure hunt, where one team's data can lead another team to a completely new discovery. It's a beautiful example of how collaboration can fuel innovation.
And it's not just about the data itself, it's about the tools used to analyze that data. Open source software plays a key role in open science as well.
Okay.
By sharing software tools openly, researchers can collaborate on their development, improve their functionality, and make them more widely accessible.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach, opening up the publications, the data, and even the tools of science. It really does seem like a paradigm shift in the way research is done and shared.
It is. And it's not just about making science faster or cheaper, it's about making it better. When research is conducted in the open, it's subject to greater scrutiny, which improves the quality.
That's an interesting point. More eyes on the data means more opportunities to catch errors, identify areas for improvement, ultimately increase the reliability of the findings.
Exactly. And it's encouraging to see that there are a growing number of initiatives promoting the adoption of open science principles. For example, the Budapest Open Access Initiative.
Okay.
It advocates for free and unrestricted access to research articles.
So this isn't just a fringe movement, it's gaining traction at an international level.
Yes. And as these movements gain momentum, we can expect to see even more exciting developments in open science and its impact on how research is conducted and shared around the world.
Okay, we've been talking about science and education, but this next one might come as a surprise. Open source food.
Yes. The culinary world is also getting a taste of open access.
It's a bit unexpected, I'll admit.
Yeah.
So what exactly is open source food all about?
Well, some proponents of open access are advocating for applying these principles to the realm of food science and gastronomy. They argue that sharing recipes and data openly could help improve the reproducibility of studies in food science and foster culinary innovation.
So instead of closely guarded secret recipes, we could have a world where chefs and food scientists openly share their knowledge and collaborate.
Exactly. It's about bringing the spirit of open access into the kitchen. Imagine a database of scientifically tested recipes, or being able to modify and share your own creations under open licenses.
That's such a cool concept. It's like democratizing culinary knowledge and empowering everyone to become a more adventurous cook.
And it aligns perfectly with the broader movement towards open knowledge, the idea that information should be freely available for everyone to use, build upon, and learn from, whether it's a scientific formula or a recipe.
I love that. It's amazing to see how these open principles are being applied in so many different fields. It really underscores their potential to transform the way we create, share, and access knowledge in every aspect of our lives.
It truly is a testament to the power of open access. But as with any movement, there are also challenges to consider.
It's true.
Yeah.
We've talked about some of the potential downsides: privacy, security, sustainability. Are there any other challenges specific to open source food?
Well, one concern is the potential impact on traditional culinary practices.
Okay.
Some chefs might worry that open sourcing recipes could lead to a loss of cultural heritage or undermine their expertise.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
It's important to find that balance between openness and protecting cultural heritage. It's a conversation that needs to involve chefs, food historians, cultural experts.
Exactly. And as with any new technology or approach, there's always the potential for unintended consequences, We need to be thoughtful about how we implement open source food and ensure that it benefits everyone.
It sounds like open source food is a delicious but complex dish. But let's not forget about another field where open principles are having a major impact: artificial intelligence.
Ah, yes. AI is one of the hottest topics these days. Open movements are playing a key role in shaping its development.
I'm all ears. How exactly do open principles intersect with AI?
Well, one area where we're seeing a lot of activity is in open source AI tools and platforms. There's a growing movement to make the building blocks of AI, algorithms, datasets, software more accessible to researchers and developers around the world.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
By making these resources open, it could accelerate innovation in AI, democratize access to this powerful technology.
precisely. It also has the potential to address concerns about bias and fairness in AI. When AI systems are developed in the open, there's more transparency, more accountability, which can help reduce the risk of these systems perpetuating inequalities.
So OpenAI isn't just about making AI more powerful. It's about making it more ethical, more beneficial to society.
Absolutely. And as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's crucial that we apply open principles to ensure that this technology is used responsibly.
It sounds like open movements are playing a vital role in shaping the future of AI, just like they're transforming so many other fields. It's truly inspiring to witness this global shift toward open knowledge and collaboration.
It is. And it's not just happening in silos. These open movements are all interconnected, constantly influencing and inspiring each other. It's a beautiful web of progress.
You know, this deep dive has really opened my eyes to the breadth and depth of the open movement. It's so much more than just free software or open access journals. It's a profound shift in how we think about knowledge, collaboration, and the potential for positive change in the world.
I couldn't agree more. And this is just the beginning. As we move forward, it'll be fascinating to see how these open movements continue to evolve, intersect, and shape the future we're building together.
I'm already excited to see what the future holds, but for now, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dives.
Agreed. Let's take a moment to process all this incredible information before we dive into the final part of our exploration.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From open source to open science to even open source food, it's amazing to see how widespread these open movements have become.
What's interesting to me is that this isn't just some passing trend. This feels like a real paradigm shift,
I think so too.
like a fundamental change in how we view access to knowledge, collaboration, the potential for positive change.
You're right. It's not just about making things free, it's about the ripple effects that happen.
Hmm.
Open access creates this culture of sharing and empowerment. It can benefit everyone.
And what's exciting is that these open movements are always evolving and connecting with each other.
They are.
Take, for instance, the link between open source hardware and citizen science projects.
Citizen science, that's a great example.
Yeah.
It lets everyday people contribute to these big scientific discoveries.
Exactly. And citizen science projects often rely on open source hardware.
Okay.
Makes it easier for people to build and share tools for data collection and analysis.
So one open movement can actually empower another one.
That's right.
I love that. It's like bringing science to everyone. Anyone who's curious and has an internet connection.
That's the beauty of these movements.
Yeah.
Recognizing that everyone has something valuable to contribute. And when we share knowledge openly, we can create a better future for all.
Well, we've also talked about some of the potential downsides of open access.
Right.
Privacy concerns, security risks, the need for sustainable ways to keep these projects going.
Yeah, it's important to acknowledge those. Openness isn't a perfect solution. We have to look at these things with a critical eye. It's so important to talk openly and honestly about the risks and how to minimize them.
So it's not just about making things open. It's about doing it in a way that's fair and responsible and sustainable for everybody.
Exactly. Open movements need to be equitable and inclusive. They need to work for everybody, not just a select few.
Right.
It takes ongoing discussion and collaboration. Researchers, educators, policymakers, tech people, and the public all need to be involved.
Working together to shape a future where openness is both empowering and responsible.
And it's a future that's full of possibilities. Think about how open access can change education, speed up scientific breakthroughs, even revolutionize how we approach issues like climate change and global health.
It's incredible to consider all the positive change that can happen from just embracing openness and collaboration.
It truly is. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I just want to encourage everyone listening to keep exploring this world. There's a whole universe of open initiatives out there.
That's a great point. We've just scratched the surface here. So to our listeners, as you continue to explore open movements, keep asking questions, stay curious, and think about how you can contribute to making a more open and equitable world.
Because in the end, the future of these movements is in our hands. It's up to all of us to shape that future, where knowledge is shared freely, collaboration is the norm, and everyone has a chance to learn, grow, and make a difference.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of open movements. We hope you've learned something new, sparked your curiosity, and are ready to keep exploring. Until next time, stay curious and stay open.